What's good? You rocking with your boy TheCzarr, all rights reserved. Today we're about to talk about something important around the situation, still dealing with the mausoleum. First off, I want to give a shout out to the commenter Saddity, who actually did send me information earlier. I was looking through the information I had, and she did mention this earlier. I didn't give recognition to it properly, so shout to Saddity for doing that. Now, this is also a commenter blog for Saddity, dealing with the fact that she had brought it up first about this situation. Not only this situation in a certain light or a certain detail to address the issue, but also to literally bring up about the mausoleum. Now, the reason we're talking about this is simply because of this. It takes a certain amount of time to build it, and something she brought out is, what if he had this pre-built and then they made the moves to contact what was actually happening, because the domestic dispute actually occurred earlier, much earlier than this situation. So if that was the case, and this is again an objective view, was it possible this mausoleum was built and paid for previous by Tentacion himself? Now, why would he do this and then speculate that people were involved in chasing him? Did he think someone was after his life? Did he think someone was trying to see him disenfranchised out of his livelihood? There's many different reasons we can speculate as to why he made these decisions, but ultimately somebody had to give the call. Now, if he was truly and allegedly behind anything dealing with these men, because they're all affiliated somehow with him from previous knowledge, is it possible that they fell for a trick and someone else around him who had the money to do so had this called, and because he was speaking these things, they thought it was the best time to take a plan into action? If so, they timed it perfectly, being that it would have been around the time where he had beef with some artists and behind the scenes, and he ultimately had a decision to make in his career. Now, as we know, Tentacion has been here for a while. He's been on the charts, platinum artist, just doing many different things, similar to Tekashi 6ix9ine. It'd be if like Tekashi 6ix9ine was talking about certain things going on right now, and then we saw a few months later he was in a situation just as the robbery where he ended up deceased. Now, do you think that he's capable of these things? Is this something that he would have done? Is it a clout factor for him to come back and have superstardom? We don't know, but what we can presume from the evidence, a lot of things aren't making sense. Usually when things aren't making sense to this degree, there's some type of catch. Is there a catch to the Tentacion situation? As we know, he was allegedly slain at Riva Motorsports, and we're still waiting on the video to see it. Now, remember, there are professionals that can edit these things very well. They've been around for years. It's nothing new. We are even looking at video edits concerning the Kanika Jenkins case. So how can we rule this out? How is it possible for me to say that's not possible? It's not. It has to be all examined. Even if we're seeing suspects that are being claimed to have been aggressors of the situation, to have caused his untimely demise, we have to recognize that their affiliations are very strong. Now, if someone set it up, it was very wise to use a prior alleged enemy of Tentacion, Trayvon Newsom, who was supposedly in a video that we cannot confirm because we can't see the video of the person who he's attacking, and he's literally he hit him good. I have the video. I didn't post it up to you guys. I had it sent to me. Tentacion hit him pretty good. In a way, with people around, that it would be embarrassing too. So there's many factors that lead to that, where motive was there. So did he set this up and everything went wrong? Were they not supposed to do what they did, but they did it anyway? These are also objective views. So good point, Saddity, and this is her video because she did send me this privately a while back before I even seen comments on it, and I didn't realize it, so that's my fault. I do read through them, but I keep moving because that's how the data comes in, and that's how the information derives itself. There was many different types of situations going on concerning the case, as if bail, arraignment, and we're still in the third step where the bill of information is being formulated. So there's many different factors that add to the point where I would not have noticed it readily, but now reading back on a lot of things she said, it actually formulates with now very well. Was he capable of doing this? These are ideologies that we have to put into effect. Now, the reason we objectively speak about this and put these ideologies out there is because a lot of people mention Tentacion's name, then they keep it pushing. You know what I mean? They just mention something when it's happening. But what we do is we analyze the data, we analyze the evidence, we analyze the circumstance, and we formulate our own opinions and own thoughts. I read all of your thoughts, and I'm very enthused to have read it. Now, I know that a lot of people have speculation or they have direct perspectives on deeming these young men that are indicted as criminals and exacting revenge in some way, shape, or form, but we don't have anything specifically to lead us to that conclusion. That is why I speak this way. That is why I reach out to you guys. That is why I ask for information to be delivered a certain way, because I respect your opinions. But at the same time, I think it's very important that a goal of some sort is derived. Now, I'm not saying it'll be the answer, but we're going to eventually work on to new topics as we go on, as I do investigation. Is something that we can all sink our teeth into. But at this time, this is a very questionable case. A lot of factors are inquisitive. Circumstantial and direct evidence ideology is being mixed up. It's being placed out there and literally used as a tool to sway or dissuade people from thinking a certain way. And that is why we explain topics so readily in many different videos at this channel, because I do not want that to be the case. I don't want people to be confused about what they saw, not really understand what's happening. And I kind of think it's very important that everyone gets a sense of what's going on, especially in the media, especially around different topics that are being discussed, even in detail about what's important and what's not. As we do go down and describe these topics, I want everybody to continue to think critically and give a chance to other commenters and commenter nation deriving their opinion on what could have happened, because we have no specific outlook that defines everything. And there is no outright answer, being all of the evidence is not being seen. See, and that's what I have an issue with. Just right there. I respect everyone's opinion on what they think happened, but to say they outright know and we didn't look at all the evidence, nor was it all released, it's kind of foolery. You know what I mean? Especially as we see 4 suspects being indicted. I would like to see some type of DNA evidence linked to the scene, let alone, if they have it, the residue on their hands, just different things that should make sense with a normal shooting. We've seen many shooting cases, even on 48 Hours the show, and this is not panning up to any type of episode that would have been on that show, being the way it's investigated. They never stutter stepped at the bill of information, but we have people stutter stepping at the grand jury processing. Now, could this be also a way to kind of lure out the mastermind? And I told you we were going to talk about that. Certain things being released to media, certain hiccups being publicly out there on purpose to make people think they don't really know what's going on in order to lure out a specific person. That is also a tactic investigators use in a case that can bring up a person that no one else saw would be a part of it. And that's what's important, because I can guarantee you investigators are not only watching all social medias, but they're reading a lot of different news that is being released and seeing the reaction of different individuals that they suspect. It doesn't matter if they arrested you. If they suspect you, they're going to test you in some way, shape, or form. The same way that we've seen them test people in different situations, such as big name stars that I'm not going to name, but think of cases where an investigator has literally let them go and then they kind of watch their actions. Because guilt is something that weighs on anyone in some way. Even if you're acting very lax, they use that as a sense of understanding the urgency of attacking a victim, making a victim disappear, making a witness disappear. evidence-wise victim when they put out topics and things like, oh, we found evidence in Michael Boatwright's grandma's car. Now they're watching what you do because they want to see if you're going to react negatively, positively, neutrally, whether you're going to have a blatant reaction. They watch all these things, and that's what's very important to understand, that these are very strong tactics that I'm sure prosecution has reminded authority to use in this case, because they're like, look, we need this DNA evidence. We need something to link them, something heavier. If we don't have direct witnesses, you got witnesses missing, then we need to have some sort of circumstantial evidence built against these people if you want them to be fully indicted on any charge that you've given them. And that's a very smart way to sort of pull out the outliers of a case and lure in the thread and the emotion of a potential suspect. Now, has the mastermind reacted to this? I don't know. But what I can say is that the mastermind definitely is watching and looking and seeing what they say. So being that the mastermind sitting back doing that, could the mastermind have been involved in the infrastructure of the mausoleum at an earlier time? More than likely not. And the reason I say more than likely not is because they would have had influence to do so and some type of power in the position to make it happen the way it happened. What I think the mastermind did is change and divert variations to the situation to work in favor to a plan they had, if we are to consider that not only Tentacion allegedly, but someone else who was very close to him had this incident set up. It could have been a marketing publicity gone wrong. And we see these factors all the time. Even if it's not a murder, it could be a marketing scheme or an argument that's public that turns into something else. So we have to keep our eyes open. And again, shout to Saddity B. I didn't call her out for doing so and helping the way. You know what the donations in the description, $, capital THE, capital CZARR. You can hit the PayPal, you can hit the GoFundMe and help us reach our goal. These are all very important factors as we're beginning to work our way through, as I want to build a platform that not only takes for content, but also will eventually be able to deliver to all commenter nation and people who come up with very good thoughts and schemes as far as further topics that we cover here. You know how I rock. Thank you for rocking with me. All rights reserved.